Dear Slim, I thought you might have heard of me maybe, cause lately everywhere I turn someone's comparing us crazy. I never would have thought when I was bumping Biggie and Pac that I would buy bleach in a box and become the product of shade. But I'm here now. Hi, my name is Tom MacDonald. People call me controversial. I'm the one that counterculture follows. Every song I drop's a problem. I offend an awful lot with topics commenting on race and politics. I'm pretty awesome. Dear Slim, I know we're very different politically. Seems like some of your biggest fans are the victims I'm triggering. They're convinced I don't like you, which ain't consistent with history. I was picked on as a kid and they don't know what Slim did for me. But I'm here now, and I fight the system just like you. Was addicted to pills and liquor and quit them just like you. People claim that you hate me, but Marshall, that can't be right, dude. You'd have to hate yourself as well, cause Marshall, I'm you. Marshall, remember back when you became Eminem. You changed the world with a pen. Well, now I'm just like you. I don't give a what, saying what I want with my fingers up. Everybody triggered and they think I suck, but I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. Dear Slim, I thought that maybe because you paved the way for me, you might relate to weight that Caucasian rappers are carrying. They're constantly comparing us to you, it's embarrassing. Never gaining their approval, it's just hate we're inheriting. But I'm here now, go ahead and hate it, don't hurt. Call me culture vulture garbage, those are ignorant words. I kill a vulture, cook the poultry in a pan till it's burnt. See Marshall, I'm just like you, I'm flipping the bird. Dear Slim, I just want to give you your flowers. I spent hours memorizing all of your songs in 2000. You were the reason I screamed at all of my teachers. A teen, I needed your CD on repeat and Shady's face on my t-shirt. But I'm here now, they call me controversial just like you. We're both white, both rap, both of our eyes blue. Screw any guy who tries to say you changed and don't like you, cause in my mind it's still 99, and I'm you. Marshall, remember back when you became Eminem. You changed the world with a pen. Well, now I'm just like you. I don't give a what, saying what I want with my fingers up. Everybody triggered and they think I suck, but I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. Whether you love me or hate me or think I'm crazy, dropped 100 grand to get a beat from Shady. I really hope when I bought it he wasn't angry, but I really had to tell him that he changed me. The truth of the matter is, without you, Marshall Mathers, I would've committed suicide before I was a rapper. You showed me that I could do it. I didn't need to be black, or I know it's stupid, but I just had to do my best to say thank you. Marshall, remember back when you became Eminem. You changed the world with a pen. Well, now I'm just like you. I don't give a what, saying what I want with my fingers up. Everybody triggered and they think I suck, but I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. Marshall, remember back when you became Eminem. You changed the world with a pen. Well, now I'm just like you. I don't give a what, saying what I want with my fingers up. Everybody triggered and they think I suck, but I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah. I don't give a what, nah, 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 nah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, y'all really gotta start staying past the intro music, because it's never gonna be what you guys want it to be. You know that. It's gonna be what I want. My intro music. That's for me. Even though I was slow today, that was for me. Hey, and we had Sean Bond donated, even though I was running late. This wasn't Threeper today. Threeper, did you unmute yourself, dude? Because I ain't heard you yet.
Yeah, it would be nice to have myself unmuted to talk. Yeah, Vet was late. I had coffee made before him. It was a great morning.
This is the first time that this man had coffee before me. How's everybody doing today? We've got Danny in the chat already. We've got Charlie Foxtrot, Sean Bond as always. We're typically always starting off the streams with Threeper Raven. Oh wait, no, it's not. This isn't Threeper Raven. This is his other alter ego.
Three bars.
Yeah, 3 bars Slayer over there. And we always started off, and he dropped a song last night called Depression Game. You want to explain it a little bit, or you want me to just play it first?
The idea behind this song was depression's a game we have to win. That was just kind of the whole thing with it. That's where I kind of went with it. That's pretty much all I gotta say.
Hey, what's going on, Storm LP? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. We're about to get into Threeper 3bar Ravens song here. You got to stay through to it because we did miss a song. Thank you. I don't have your name up because I had a whole bunch of windows I had to open up really quickly and I was late. And Metal Crew, we missed from Attero Dominatus. We're going to do a live reaction to it this morning, get it out of the way, and follow it up with the history episode with it since we're just rolling with it. Then we're going to do, obviously, the Attero Dominatus history episode for the album today as well. See what happens after that, see if we go in any further. I hope everybody is having a good morning, evening, late night, whatever regional time it is for you. I'm just going to hit play for the time consumption wise. I'm just going to let it play continuously, and then I'm going to let 3per explain all of his words afterwards. Let's do it.
Depression, why are you such a loser? Always trying to ruin my future. You really can't win this fight, I'm a trooper. Get back up after a bruiser. It's a live or die, and I'm the one living, giving my all. Intruders in my brain, better believe I'm a shooter. Play a game and fuck with me and find out who I really am. You haven't met the real me yet, cause I'm gonna be free from you one day. Till then, I'm on a killing spree, knocking my demons down one by one till they all fall. Not letting you shit on me no more. This can be a great war. Looking to ignore the negatives, look at the positives. Yeah, there's a lot of it. Got people praying for me. How about you? No, I'm getting ready for battle. I'm building my castle, feet planted in concrete and iron. So bring it, I'm ready, steadily making my way. Yeah, me and my demons were the best friends, always messing with my feelings. And when the dark is closing in, that's when the ground is shattered. So where do I go from here? Feeling suicidal, need my medication, but in the now, all these feelings feeling vile. Sitting here reading my Bible for my survival, not a messiah, just following a disciple. So if you want to ride with me, just know it's a road to recovery, ain't always sunny. You always need a buddy that has your six. I found a path to follow me, looking to heal myself and others.
Well, damn. I guess 3per had something to say.
Yeah, depression's trying to play a game, always trying to take my name, always trying to get me to fade away, trying to change the rules of the game, but I'm ready and I'm taking aim, never gonna tell no lies, having highs and lows, never been wise to know, spinning clockwise this time moving forward, so depression, let's play this game, you ain't ready for it, I made my decision, I'm on a mission, just take a listen, depression, just a game, we gotta win, gain the courage to fight another day, find a reason to stay.
Definitely had something to say today, dude.
Yeah, this game's like a roller coaster. Depression, you better move over. I'm coming in like a freight train. You've been holding my brain hostage no more. I'm getting sober. Got this weight on my shoulders, but I'm growing stronger. Watch me smolder, bursting in flames like a bonfire. It's all about how you play this game. It's about the sick tricks with kick flips coming in like a total eclipse. There ain't no quick fix for this, just hard work and dedication. Ain't no scripts to follow. Got this chip on my shoulder, fighting depression like a soldier. Gonna spread my message like a postal service. You won't be able to curve this. I'm gonna be a little less antisocial. I'm feeling like depression's just a game. We have to beat a high level boss that needs a defeat. Gotta get a little upbeat. There ain't no retreat. Hell, I'm only on preheat, just run up in the game like an athlete. I got a dope sheet ready at any range. I'ma defend the snakes that bite me. No light bars, only heavy hitters. Mama didn't raise no quitter. Mama raised me right, slightly off of my end. But hey, that's what makes me and no one else. Yeah, and I'm only getting started. Music is the reason I'm living. Trying to come out of the rainy season. Depression has committed high treason on my soul, so.
He's letting it know the way he wants to, yo.
Yeah. My depression's trying to play a game, always trying to take my name, always trying to get me to fade away, trying to change the rules of the game, but I'm ready and I'm taking aim, never tell no lies, having highs and lows, never been wise to know, spinning clockwise, this time I'm moving forward, so depression, let's play this game, you ready for it? I've made my decision, I'm on a mission, just take a listen, depression's just a game, we gotta win, gain the courage to fight another day, find a reason to stay.
Little out of breath there, were you, bro?
A little out of breath, man. I was out of breath that whole song.
Man, for y'all that are just joining at the end of that, y'all missed something good. I'm gonna stop it right there. Like, wow. I said it last night, wow. You still got to work on the breathing, but you getting there.
Yep, I'm getting there. Lyrics were on point, is what I heard from some of my friends and everything. Lyrics were on point for the song.
Now explain exactly what you was feeling and I don't want no cop out. You explain.
Well, depression's a game, and it's all about how you play it. If you let yeah, we lose battles, we win some, we lose some, but at the end of the day, it's a war. You might lose a battle here and there, but at the end, you got to win the war.
I get that.
Kind of where I was thinking about this. It's like sometimes you just gotta let your depression know where you stand in the fight, and that's pretty much where I was at with this. Letting my depression know where I stand.
Makes sense to me. I mean, you can't deny that you gotta let something know, no matter what it is inside of you, in your own way. You know, and a lack of a sense, fuck you. I control this. This is me. It ain't nobody else. You don't control it. Nobody else outside of you controls you. Well, you know, all right, let's get the mushy stuff out of the way, because, I mean, we got flames and skulls and, like...
Yes. Let's get to Sabaton.
We've got Sabaton. Sabaton history Saturday. It is Saturday. It isn't Sunday. It's Saturday. We finally made it. And we are going to start it with a live reaction to Metal Crew from the album Attero Dominatus. I am sorry that I almost missed it and passed it over. Thank you for the person that reminded me in my call to action. Actually, it wasn't a call to action. It was a very particular post that said that the throne to Sabaton reactions should be mine. I mean, no, yeah, maybe. But no, thank you for that comment. But you did bring it to light that I needed to react to this, and I figured what better way to do it than live on Sabaton History Saturday, and then follow it up with the history. We're both... Threeper will do his homework for once. We get to react together to it live for you for the first time since we've been reacting together. And then we're going to do the history episode that we've been doing. What does that sound like to you guys? I mean, chat's kind of quiet. Come on. Wake me up a little bit. I was already slow. I mean, I'll just... Boop. No, I'm just playing. We're going to get into this. Let's go. Metal Crew live reaction.
Accept that you won't see no sorrow. The rainbow is your home. Warriors sent to Milky Way, UFO shooting gamma ray, a riot of destruction. Watch the rock pitch go down and vixen spread. When the priest kill a maiden in the male church, saints and warlocks watch the slaughter. Rage of the slayer forced the pretty maids to kiss the queen, crimson glory.
I'm thrown off.
I like it.
What?
Huh?
We're talking about UFOs and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thrown off on that too. I'm trying to get what they're referencing, like tanks.
When did this happen?
You were born a motorhead, bikes in flames to race ahead.
But just for... I'm kidding. I understand it's... I get it.
You were born a motorhead, bikes in flames to race ahead. You knew the cancer's rush. Race Racing with the motley crew.
Sorry, I know I'm pausing in the middle of verses, but right before Storm LP said it, I had just said it with a delay a little bit. Hey, Lily Chan, welcome to the chat. It's first I'm seeing you. Type something in there. Welcome. Good to have you here. Let's get back into it.
Racing with the motley crew. Emulator chasing you. We're going to burning roses. Status quo has been reached. What's unleashed? Will the priest kill a maiden in the metal church? Armored saints and warlocks watch the slaughter. Rage of the slayer across the bleeding age. To kiss the queen in crimson glory. Take a sky ride with me.
No words. It's just one of those times. Just no words to explain that solo, the drums and everything.
I can explain it. Here, slap yourself again.
Take a sky ride with me, then you'll see. Will the priest kill a maiden in the metal church? All the saints and warlocks watch the slaughter. Rage of the slayer across the bleeding age. To kiss the queen in crimson glory.
Oof. Zero
Two guitar
G's.
solos. I like that last one.
I
That
It
was
it threw me off at first, and then I realized, I realized that it was obviously it was a homage to, metal rock. You could hear all the different, like it was said, 70s through the 90s. You can hear it all in there. You can
Oh,
hear
yeah.
it all in there through the drums. That was intense. The solo slaps you in the face, and that's really what it's about.
both of them do. There's two of them.
And Daniel Rupp, what's going on, man? First, I've said what's up to you. It's good to see you here this morning, as always. As always. Yeah, I always enjoy these mornings. Now, what we've got is obviously we're going to follow up that with the history episode. And we're going to really find out exactly, what was going through.
You're gonna mess it up. Just say it.
Hakeem's.
Yeah, I think
Jeez,
you messed it up.
Mia is gonna thrash me in the general one.
Yeah,
If you
she-
scan the Discord link up above 3 per Raven, above his head there, you'd be able to talk with me and Threeper and voice chat after the live and Discord and talk with us afterwards if you want to. It's on you. Hit the subscribe button notification if you want to. It's all up to you. But yeah, I messed his name up. She's gonna thrash me.
It'll be funny.
No, it won't.
It'll be funny for me. Maybe not for you.
So we're just gonna get straight into it. Metal Crew. We're gonna find out the history of metal. Sabaton history. Here on Threeper and v3tReacts Sabaton History Saturday. Let's go. I'm muted.
Sabaton. And this is Sabaton History. Well, Metal Crew, with riots of destruction, wasps unleashed, and the priest killing the maiden. This is a very controversial song.
Yeah, but we're talking about history.
What's going on,
We gotta tell it like
Crow?
it is. It's war, it's brutal, and people are gonna be pissed off. When we have to stick to it.
I think that's what you did here.
All right, this song is about you. It's called The Metal Crew.
Okay, Metal Crew. Metal Crew. All right, guys? Hey. Are you ready to rock?
No.
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 Okay.
I hope he never does that again.
Metal Crew. Metal Crew. All right, guys?
It sounds like Raven trying to sing.
Are you ready to
Gee,
rock?
Thanks, Vet.
It was the old days, the do-or-die days, the days long before the internet and smartphones, before MP3s and streaming, mostly really even before CDs. The days when people gathered impatiently in front of small record stores, waiting to buy or just listen to the newest LP. And nights spent in packed clubs with sweat running down the walls. And speakers, of course, turned to 11. It was the 70s and the 80s when everything was louder than everything else. Okay, it must be said, and I'm the right guy to say it, that it is probably easier to write a complete history of the Great War than to write a brief history of heavy metal that everybody is happy with. But hell, let's try it anyways.
Hey,
Let's
Lion
start at
from
the
the North,
beginning,
what's going
when rock
on,
and
man?
roll still bore the stigma of being the
Welcome,
devil's
it's good to
music
see you.
and was supposedly only listened to by tattooed bikers, brawling city kids, and dirty hippies. Music that was, in turn, performed by self-proclaimed beer drinkers and hellraisers who proudly sang about dangerous drugs and even more dangerous women. If there is such a thing as a birth date for heavy metal, it might as well be February 13th, 1970, when Black Sabbath dropped their groundbreaking debut album. I know some people call Iron Butterfly's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida the first metal record. They were really more of a psych band. You can argue about this all day, and I know you will, but whatever. The band,
I know you will,
around
but
frontman
whatever.
Ozzy Osbourne, took the still blues-heavy rock and roll sound of the late 60s and put a harder, gloomier, and even occult spin on it, with terrifying distortion effects and even darker lyrics. Of course, many critics slammed it, but the younger generation loved it. The 70s, with bands like Uriah Heep, Thin Lizzy, and Nazareth, was a time when what we now call classic rock slowly got harder,
Classic
faster,
rock.
and louder.
That's
Bands
classic.
began experimenting with a more aggressive and immediate style, fully embracing overdrive, distortion, and other effects, and the power of the electric guitar over the harmonic sound of the acoustic guitar, amplifying its sonic power to the maximum. Culturally, the
Boom.
hard rock and early heavy metal scene
I can see
emerged
that.
from the dying hippie scene, but still had time to develop well before the rebellious and anti-social punk movement took hold. So the rock and metal bands kept their long hair, but instead of tie-dyed shirts, bell-bottoms, and the headbands of the hippies, they went on.
Wait a minute.
Are they calling you out, Vet? Aw.
No. Why are you hating because you were like you don't even remember a time when CDs didn't exist? Do you know what a cassette tape is?
Yeah, I know what a cassette is.
Did you ever have a Walkman?
I had something of a Walkman. Mine was a
No,
CD.
not a hand-me-down.
Oh, no.
Exactly. Point.
Yeah, oh.
Case. Checkmate.
Heavy metal scene
I just wanna
emerged
look
from
at
the
one
dying
outfit.
hippie scene, but still had time to develop well before the rebellious and anti-social punk movement took hold. So the rock and metal bands kept their long hair, but instead of tie-dyed shirts,
Daniel Rupp's denying that he was the hippie version. So Daniel Rupp is that guy with the feather on the far right there. He knows it. Sorry, bro. You know it. What is with those outfits, y'all? Like back to school. Explain.
Oh, yeah, back to school's old
bell-bottom
enough to know.
and the headbands
Exactly.
of the
You
hippies,
talking about me.
They went on stage in denim and black leather, embroidered with spikes and rivets. Beards and hair were stylized to match the clothes, and consequently, the men and women on stage
Call
became
me
cultural
old.
icons. It was the age of the rock star, the sex symbols and prophets of a new musical era, who, instead of love and spirituality, advocated and personified the adventurous life on the road, freedom with a tough guy attitude, and if that freedom
I'm more concentrated on the chat and I'm hearing the metal as well. But Line from the North, I had Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby Got Back, the single cassette tape. And I had DMX, Rough Riders Anthem. Oh.
See, when I was a kid, we had these little tiny player things, and like they had a little tiny square, like kind of plugged into it like a USB, and it had one song on it.
A USB, bro.
No, it wasn't. It was like a USB. What wasn't a USB? I forget what it was called, but it had Britney Spears "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time" on it. I shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna be quiet.
musical era, who, instead of love and spirituality, advocated and personified the adventurous life on the road, freedom with a tough guy attitude, and if that freedom meant sex and drugs, so be it.
Stop laughing.
Many of those rock stars came from humble working class backgrounds and industrial cities, and sang about their everyday hardships, expressing their views on life and society with the harshest sound available. But that made them relatable to a huge audience of young people. While other kids went to the brightly glowing discos, rock and rollers met in dark...
Now it comes out. Now it comes out. Couldn't hold it in no more, could you?
Hit me, baby, one more time. Did you listen to Hanson too, bro?
Okay, I don't. I don't know that song.
smoky bars and
Instant
clubs.
regret.
But for many, hard rock was still not hard enough, not by a long shot, and the boundaries of what could be done with the music had yet to be really defined.
You were born a motorhead, bikes in flames to race ahead. You knew that
Enlisted is the
It's the play of the game. We got one.
I mean,
ad so far.
we played it. Let's go.
The movement at the end of the 1970s, hailed by the press as the new wave of British heavy metal, was bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Saxon who brought new energy to the scene, focusing on complex guitar solos and a faster-paced sound. With the beginning of the 1980s, the heavy metal scene further defined itself, and many bands found a personal style of playing. You had the emergence of the double bass drum pedal, adding even more power to the ever faster music. You also had complex bridges and technical riffs with even faster guitar playing techniques like tapping and sweep picking, while other bands disassociated themselves from this and kept to the more bluesy style from the past, or drifted towards the simplicity of punk
Daniel
rock,
Rupp.
or combined the punk energy with metal style
Touché.
and gave birth to thrash. Although heavy metal is often perceived as complex by nature, it is still bound to the basics of verse, chorus, verse. And it is therefore up to the band itself to strive further, perhaps with solos, perhaps with speed, perhaps effects, or perhaps songwriting, which gives metal such a potential to diversify itself. The popular band composition for a classic metal band was a singer, a rhythm guitarist, a lead guitarist, a bass player, and a drummer, maybe only one guitarist. Keyboards had been actually quite common at the beginning, though, as the influences from the 1960s were
What
still
did I tell you about the
and would
keyboards,
later
man?
re-emerge when metal bands wanted to focus on a more symphonic and bombastic sound. The 80s are usually seen as the high watermark of traditional heavy metal, let's say traditional heavy metal, forever immortalized by the iconic vocalists, the air siren of Bruce Dickinson, or the clean shrills of Rob Halford, and the lightning guitars of guys like Yngwie Malmsteen. More and more metal bands dotted the record charts, but also bands that were counted as metal, although
We've listened to them.
Have we?
I mean, not reacted or anything, but we've heard them. I mean, Back to School definitely played them.
actually more closely tied to classic
he's old
hard
enough.
rock, like Guns N' Roses, who climbed the charts to #1, reaching ever more
I
people
wasn't even
and
gonna-
opening up the whole genre
I had
to
to
the
say it.
attention of a broader audience. Outside of its British birthplace, new heavy metal scenes with their own distinctive sound really emerged all over the world. In the US, in Germany, in Canada. Dio, Accept, and Wasp further continued developing classic heavy metal. Bands like Megadeth, Metallica, and Slayer strained the definition of traditional heavy metal to the maximum. Ever faster, ever
Oh,
more
yeah.
aggressive, with screaming guitars and smashing drums.
Yeah.
Not
Those
just
are
the
the
sound
bands I
evolved,
know.
so too did the
Yep,
lyrical
same.
content. And the heavier the music became,
Hey,
the darker
I'll admit, Daniel, before I dived into Sabaton and Nightwish and some Ginger and Five Finger Death Punch and Megadeth, I listened to Metallica, I listened to some old school stuff, but I mean, other than that, I steered away, and I mean, my main genre is independent, you know, hip hop, country, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm still learning and being amazed. Like Threeper knows more about the instruments involved in metal and rock and all that than I do. You know,
Little bit.
I know
wouldn't
you
say much.
use two sticks to hit the drums.
darker the lyrics became as well, focusing on the
about
underbelly
it.
of humanity, war, bloodshed, and the deep abyss that is the human psyche. The parental advisory sticker and explicit lyrics warning soon became proudly worn badges.
Oh
But
yeah,
with
Sean Bond.
fame and infamy came a lot of criticism from the media, politicians, pseudo-academics who needed a scapegoat for the evils of society. The extravagant stage shows of bands like Motley Crue or Kiss were prime targets for criticism from conservatives, and metal lyrics were seen as promoting Satanism, hedonism, misogyny, and violence. But it was always a back and forth, you know? Metal fans wanted to distance themselves from society, proudly displaying the horns, pentagrams, and other symbols, but the media loved to have someone to blame. And of course, ever since time began, bands portray a certain image to please and inspire their fans.
Warrior sent to Milky Way, UFO shooting gamma ray, a riot of destruction.
Now, in the 90s, many legends of the 70s and 80s took creative breaks or changed lineups, and new influences began to join the mix. Grunge had been under the radar in the 80s, but bands like Soundgarden and Nirvana exploded as the decade
Nirvana.
began, with a mix of metal,
All right,
punk, and
Nirvana.
indie influences. But then suddenly, metal was mixed
Yeah,
with
video games
alternative
turned me
rock
into a
and
boob.
even hip hop or electro, creating what is known as new metal with a U because 1990s. Actually, you know, guys, I remember people used to call it sports metal in the late 90s. I love that name. Sports metal is so
That's
much
your
better than new metal,
generation,
isn't it?
dude.
Anyhow, that
My
music
generation.
these days is often shunned by traditionalists as the bastard child and marked a low point with respect to traditional metal.
You're the redheaded
New metal,
stepchild.
though, love it or hate it, was in reality a product of its time, of TV music
At least I don't
videos
got
and a
Baby
lot
Give
of
Me One More
teen
Time as
angst.
my ringtone.
But at the same time,
No, you're right. You have the little iPod Nano with it on it.
I don't have.
That's
an
even
iPod.
worse. You have it freaking. I have kids though. I have an excuse. What's yours?
as nu metal was entering the mainstream, even more extreme and aggressive subgenres of heavy metal began to emerge, especially in the far north of Scandinavia. Black metal and death metal, which topically oriented themselves often further towards
We've got 30 people in here, but we've got 14 likes. Let's hit that like button. We don't got back to school in the chat, like telling you guys like the link, which is, I don't know if it's in the description down below right now, but you can scan it with your phone above 3 per Raven and join the chat with us after the live. I did mention that, didn't I?
history and the dark, violent past of mankind, expressed themselves through gloomy and misanthropic lyrics, delivered in either high-pitched screams or deep growls.
Move your phone.
Following the footsteps of Venom, bands like Bathory or Unleashed embraced the mysterious atmosphere of the Viking heritage in the far north. The occult and the hedonistic, which had always been an influence in metal, were now expressed more strongly. Power metal bands, on the other hand, went the other way, trying to open themselves up to a broad audience with cleaner vocals and fantastical themes. Today, there are dozens of metal subgenres, some of which I realize I have not mentioned, but just the term heavy metal still stands out as a musical and cultural statement, a musical and cultural icon. Many of the old guard from the 70s and 80s are going strong in 2019 or have had some sort of revival. And there are hundreds of metal festivals all over the world that bring people together. Of course, the bands are influenced by those who have come before. Each band can probably cite a dozen or so bands that influenced their specific personal style of playing or changed their sound in a certain way. And in turn, those bands would further influence others in the future. In the end, all you need is to enjoy the music, have a good time, and noch ein Bier!
Really? Oh. We flirt with the ads, having these long videos. We can't do nothing about it. I mean, Sabaton gets paid for it. It's all good. I don't mind it. Y'all shouldn't either. Did he just kick you?
Their specific personal style of
Did that dude just get booted in the face?
playing or change their sound in a certain way. And in turn, those bands would further influence others in the future. In the end, all you
I would have
need
had so much
is
time
to
in this
enjoy the
era
music,
if he just got booted in the
have a
face.
good time,
I'd be the guy kicking
and
people.
noch ein Bier! Okay, Metal Crew.
Oh, I can't
It's
wait
not
to go
about
see
a battle.
Sabaton.
It's not about a soldier. It's not even about something like trenches. What inspired this?
Well, it was inspired by a previous song in the same vein called Metal Machine.
Okay.
And if I'm honest, with Metal Machine, that all came about because I needed to take a shit.
The best reason to write a song.
Well, when I asked in the beginning, I had no idea.
And if I'm honest, with Metal Machine, that all came about because I needed to take a shit.
See, the same face I had.
I genuinely have no idea how to respond to that. That is probably
That
the
is
first
for
time.
another episode!
It's probably the first
From a
time
cliffhanger!
in my interview history that I genuinely have no idea what to say. So
It's a cliffhanger. You didn't
how
get
do
it.
fans respond to a song that's not about traditional military history?
In general, very good. I mean,
Yeah?
it's a really nice way to end an album, I think, with on a different, lighter topic. Of course, we chose not to do that when we're dealing with concept albums like The Great War, like Carolus Rex.
But Great War ends with In Flanders Fields, which of course is not you performing, so that's also a different ending.
Yes, absolutely. However, a song, classic 80s hard rock song about priests.
That Lion from the North is
churches
shocked too,
might
see?
not have been suitable for Great War. It's inspired by a previous song called Metal Machine.
Yeah.
And in Metal Machine, we have song titles in the lyrics. Here we have metal bands in the lyrics. And the original idea for doing that was a emergency solution involving a toilet, basically. If I'm honest, we're recording the Primo Victoria album, and I forgot to write lyrics to the last song. And I thought I'd finished, you know, I'd recorded all my tracks. I've sung all the songs. Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna go have a beer.
You forgot to write a song?
At that point,
How
I
do you
pretty
do that?
much heard from the studio, it was like, Joachim, it's time for you to sing on the last song. And I
Joaquin,
realized, oh,
see,
I totally forgot about that one. Yeah, I just need to go to the bathroom. I pretty much heard from the studio, it was like, Joachim, it's time for you to sing on the last song.
Oh boy.
And I realized, oh fuck, I totally forgot about that
I
one.
said it right.
Yeah, I just need to go to the bathroom. I ran into the bathroom, sat down. I think I used toilet paper and a upside down beer keg or something.
Yeah, and
to write the lyrics.
I'm sure
And
even
I didn't know
Sabaton
what to
needs to
write
take
about.
shit.
And I panicked. But of course, being a heavy metal studio, there were
sure.
metal magazines there.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
starting like, okay, yeah. And that was, I have a phobia, a fear of the rock, fear of the rock by Iron Maiden, afraid to shoot strangers. Okay, the Animal Talks. Okay, Animal by Wasp. And I did it all in like 25 minutes or
That's
something like
brilliant.
that. And then I came out like, yeah, sorry, something with the stomach. You know, I didn't want to pretended like I got this shit, you know, under control. But I didn't.
Do you still have that toilet paper, or did you combine two jobs?
No. I still don't. And it would be interesting to see what price it would fetch on eBay.
I know. But when you came out with it, were they a little suspicious that you happened to have all the lyrics?
No.
Okay.
Nobody suspected anything, actually. And I mean, in the end, though, that's Metal Machine, but that inspired Metal Crew because our fans loved it, you know. Oh, it's so nice to have that song at the end with all of those references, trying to find out stuff. So that's how we did Metal Crew, and then what later became Metal Ripper.
Okay. Do you think about maybe be another one of these in your future?
I would love to do one more. I mean, it's so much fun to write it, both musically and lyrically, because it's, I mean, normally we cover military history. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And to totally just let that go. I mean, I love doing it. I wouldn't want Sabaton to do anything else, but it's so lovely to just do something else for a song and have some fun.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Metal Crew. We'll see you next time on Sabaton History.
I mean, in total, Sabaton is all about history, whether it be war or metal.
Yeah. I mean, it was what it is, you know. Man,
All right, everyone,
September.
you know the drill. Playlist, Time Ghost, World War II, Patreon, do it all, do it now!
Do it now. All right, well, there's the first one. Well, that was easy, only 2 ads. I mean, that was, you know what, that couldn't have been I mean, they were right. There couldn't have been a right song to finish that album with. Especially for me, and well, us, I don't know how much it benefits for you, but for me, it benefits because of me not really coming from this genre, per se. And starting here, staying here, I only listened to it on, you know, like Metallica, all the mainstream stuff like they were mentioning. Charlie Foxtrot, yeah, I mean, I'll remember that forever. He had to take shit and then forgot to write a song. What else is going on in the chat? Hey, Tony, how's it going? First time I'm seeing you. It's good to have you here. Sean Bond, you're still here. It's good to have all you guys here this morning. We're also going to do the history episode for Attero, Dominatus, the Battle of Berlin. And I enjoyed this song just because of one particular part in how in warfare they used to go to the top of the highest point in the town and raise a flag to show that they have captured the town. And that is what drew me to this to be the second episode of the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. I mean, we'll put down, maybe I'll do a call to action for what the next 3 for next Saturday you guys want, and we'll do the like thing that we do on everyday recordings. That would actually probably work. So let's do that. I'll do that after we're done with the live. But did you have any thoughts on that video?
I like the song just because like you get the hint of some of the bands that I listen to, like Iron Maiden and Slayer and some of the other bands that like I don't listen to much, and like they make a song and like they mention them.
Don't
like,
you start.
It's like a pay homage, Dear Slim at the beginning.
Don't you start.
Oh no.
Don't you do it.
I'm back. It's all good. Internet's fine. Internet's fine.
We're going to start. Your internet has 16 minutes to not blow up. It's not even doing anything.
No
it's
problem.
sitting there.
I'm Indy Nidell.
And I'm Pat from Sabaton, and this is Sabaton History.
The Battle of Berlin in 1945 saw Hitler's suicide and the surrender of the German capital.
And we wrote a song called Attero Dominatus about that.
That was really low.
Yeah, well.
In the winter of 1941 and 42, when the German army was driven back from the gates of Moscow, the Soviet troops who had survived the first disastrous months of the German invasion brought with them Soviet cameramen, whose footage gave the world its first look at what the Germans had done in Russia. The film they produced, known in the West as Moscow Strikes Back, was described by the New York Times Review as follows. The villages are not villages, but charred honeycombs of little low walls that once were houses, schools, or even cathedrals. But infinitely more terrible are the charnel heaps of twisted grotesques that no longer resemble human beings, the naked and slaughtered children stretched out in ghastly rows, the youths dangling limply in the cold from gallows that were rickety.
This history episode's gonna be deep.
Alright. Yep. This is exactly why this video is not marked for kids.
But strong enough. Among them wander the living mothers, their faces set in friezes of grief, and sometimes a Red Army soldier gazing on the broken bodies with a silence like flame. Over the next 3 years of fighting, any soldier fortunate enough to survive that ordeal had seen scenes like that time and again. In April 1945, those soldiers arrived at the gates of Berlin.
We stand at the gates of Berlin with 2.5 million men. With 6,000 tanks in our ranks, use them as battering rams.
By the beginning of that year, Western and Soviet armies were converging on Germany. For the past 3.5 years, though, the main brunt of the fighting had been borne by the Soviet Red Army. Although the figure varies between 8 and 20 million, it is estimated that around 15 million Soviet soldiers were killed by the end of the war. That figure does not count the many millions of dead Soviet civilians. In February 1945, the Allied leaders met at Yalta to discuss what would happen with Germany post-war. And they agreed that Germany would be divided into 4 occupation zones, British, American, French, and Soviet, and that Berlin, the capital, would likewise be carved up into 4 sectors. Despite this, and as the victorious outcome of the war began to appear more and more certain, mistrust between the Allies had begun to grow, and military leaders on both sides feared that words on paper would mean little without boots on the ground to back them up.
All right, Lion.
Joseph Stalin organized a
take it easy,
general
brother.
Soviet
Take care of the
offensive
family.
to drive as far into Germany as possible, and played upon the rivalry between his two top commanders, Georgy Zhukov and Ivan Konev, by encouraging them to compete with one another to win the glory of capturing Berlin. In the West, Winston Churchill reportedly urged General Dwight Eisenhower to attempt to capture the city. But Eisenhower eventually decided against such an operation, not wishing to expend Allied lives capturing more and more territory, which the Allies had already agreed at Yalta to give to the Soviets, and fearing friendly fire between Western and Soviet forces. So, as the Soviet forces advanced on Berlin, Eisenhower ordered the Western armies to halt on the Elbe and Mulde rivers and focus on mopping up the remaining German forces on their northern and southern flanks. The German army, in 1945, was by now a shadow of its former self, reduced in part to old men and boys. Nevertheless, they fought on, each for his own reasons. What can be said with certainty is that most everyone was afraid of the Russians, afraid of what would happen to them in Russian captivity, and afraid of what would happen to their families once the Russians were given the opportunity for revenge. Those veterans remaining from the campaigns in the East who had seen and perhaps taken part in the atrocities there had little reason to doubt the rumors of impending Soviet vengeance.
The price of all war must be paid. Millions of lives has been lost. The price must be paid by the men that started a war in the 30s.
The Red Army operations took the shape of two great offensive lunges. The first was the Vistula-Oder offensive from January 12th to February 2nd. Zhukov advanced in the center, while Konev advanced in the south. Following this, Soviet forces moved rapidly across Poland until they halted along the lines of the Oder and Nisse rivers, with bridgeheads established across the Oder some 70 kilometers east of Berlin. Although the city was undefended at this time, Zhukov gave the order to halt, as his northern flank was threatened by the German Second Army. Clearing out these forces was accomplished between February 24th and April 4th, with the Second Army being surrounded and mostly destroyed in Gdansk. With his northern flank secure, Zhukov could now prepare for the final frontal assault towards.
I love seeing the strategy of war just play out in a map like that. Like, just to see what commanders used to do.
Cut off the Second Army and just pushed them up against the water. There's no way that army's surviving. It's like supplies are cut off and everything. It was a good strategy.
It's just seeing it pull, like, think about it, dude. Like, if you think back even back to our Revolutionary and our Civil War here in the United States, they had to look at the land with their eyes to do what they did with airplanes, and then now that we do with satellite. Like, it's insane to me, like just the buildup and what intelligence, that's the word I'm looking for, has gathered, and then to be able to replicate it like this and actually show people, like, this is how the tactic was executed. You cut off main supply, make sure that the North can't hit you before you. It was just, I love it. Perfectly executed.
German Second Army. Clearing out these forces was accomplished between February 24th and April 4th, with the Second Army being surrounded and mostly destroyed in Gdansk.
And that's a
With
lot
his northern
of
flank
landmass.
secure, Zhukov could now prepare for the final frontal assault towards Berlin. However, the delay had given the Germans time to rebuild their defenses along the Oder River. On March 20th, German General Gotthard Heinrici was appointed commander of them. He assumed that the main Soviet thrust would be across the river along the axis of the main east-west Autobahn. Being vastly outnumbered, he planned a defense in depth, deploying only light forces along the riverbanks, while the main defensive position was established on the Zilov Heights, overlooking the road 17 kilometers to the west of the river. German engineers turned the Oder's floodplain into a marsh by breaching a reservoir, while on the heights they constructed 3 defensive belts with lines of trenches, bunkers, anti-tank guns, and ditches. As expected, Zhukov concentrated his attack on the section of the line opposite the Zilov Heights, but the overall redeployment left gaps in the Soviet lines, allowing what little remained of the German Second Army to escape to the west. The Red Army forces had between them 2.5 million men, 6,000 tanks, and over 7,500 aircraft. They were opposed by about 760,000 Germans of Army Group Vistula in the north and Army Group Center in the south, with about 1,500 tanks and 2,200 aircraft between them. The Berlin strategic offensive began April 16th with a massive artillery barrage against the German positions.
Artillery is nasty.
Especially if you get it on target.
Despite their advantage in firepower and numbers, though, advancing proved difficult for Zhukov's 1st and Rokossovsky's 2nd Belarusian fronts in the marshlands created by the German engineers. Frustrated and behind schedule, Zhukov threw in his reserves, committing to massed human wave assaults, which led to heavy Soviet casualties. Meanwhile, Konev's 1st Ukrainian front had made progress in the south against weaker opposition by Army Group Center, and following the capture of Forst on April 18th, the remaining elements of the German 9th and 4th Panzer Armies defending the Zilov Heights were forced to withdraw or risk being outflanked from the south. But their withdrawal left the way open for Zhukov, who now moved to trap the German forces in a pincer movement with Konev's front. As for the Western Allies, they had halted on the Elbe River. Thanks to captured documents, the Germans knew.
I like that, Wesley. How's it going? Nice to see you. First time I've seen you this morning. A bullet has your name on it. A grenade is to whom it may concern, but artillery is a general announcement. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and then Japan got the
fat boy and little boy.
Left the way open for Zhukov,
They
who
got
now
the
moved
big
to
ones.
trap the German forces in a pincer movement with
See, look
Konev's
at it.
front. As for the Western Allies, they had halted on the Elbe River. Thanks to captured documents, the Germans knew that they were unlikely to advance any further in the immediate future. Hitler ordered General Walter Wenck's 12th Army, currently fighting the Americans, to head east to link up with the 9th Army as it retreated west, after which the two armies together would relieve Berlin. However, by April 23rd, the 9th Army had been completely cut off, as we saw in the episode Hearts of Iron about Walter Wenck. And by the 24th, the encirclement of Berlin was complete. Wenck chose to force open a corridor, which would allow the breakout of the 9th Army and the evacuation of civilians from the city, then to make for the western lines with as many civilians as they could bring with them and surrender to the Americans. On April 22nd, Hitler had ordered General Helmut Weidling to be shot for allegedly retreating from the enemy. As it turned out, Weidling had not in fact retreated, and when he showed up at the Führer bunker to tell Adolf Hitler that much, Hitler was apparently impressed, and the next day, he appointed Weidling as the commander of the Berlin defense zone. Weidling had under his
when
command
you stand up to the
a
Führer
motley
and it's
assortment
like, I
of
did not.
approximately 45,000 Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS troops, 40,000 Volkssturm militia, and various other units formed from the Hitler Jugend and local police. They were surrounded by around 1.5 million Soviet troops. The result was 9 days of brutal house-to-house fighting, during which the German forces, though massively outnumbered and also outgunned, still managed to inflict heavy casualties on the Soviet attackers. The two Soviet fronts.
See, in warfare like that, it wasn't even as necessary. It's not as necessary anymore. Like, yeah, when in Iraq, there were destroyed buildings from whenever, there were really bad firefights and stuff like that. But it wasn't that bad.
What, house to house?
No, like the devastation. Like the bombing, the carpet, like the devastation of carpet bombing. Just the bomb for the hell of it. Like, it's crazy to me when I look at videos of World War II and what it used to look like, to see all of that city just gone. And it's like, now you can put a freaking missile on a fly on somebody's shoulder to make sure there's minimum damage done to surrounding area.
It's crazy how advanced warfare has gotten.
And this, I love, I mean, like this, there were certain streets. You knew you were in a bad street when you saw something like this because you couldn't go down it. You had to go around it. It was closed. Anybody that was there would know. Yeah.
It's no man's zone.
Still managed to inflict heavy casualties on the Soviet attackers. The two Soviet fronts attacking Berlin, having collaborated to achieve the encirclement, promptly resumed their competition with renewed vigor, each fighting to reach the city center before the other. Adolf Hitler, having chosen to remain in the city rather than flee, committed suicide on April 30th. General Wilding ordered the remainder of the garrison to attempt to break out towards their western front lines. A handful would successfully surrender to the Allies, while the majority were killed or captured by the Soviets. On May the 2nd, General Wilding ordered those units who remained in the city of Berlin to surrender, and he surrendered to Soviet General Vasily Chuikov in person and in writing that morning. Chuikov's 8th Guards Army was part of Zhukov's 1st Belarusian Front. As the Soviet army entered the ruined city, the civilian population was subjected to a wave of rape, pillage, and murder which continued for several weeks. While the exact figures are far from certain, it is believed that civilian deaths exceeded 125,000, though the extent to which these figures were attributable to what would today be called collateral damage rather than simple murder cannot be determined. Additionally, approximately 100,000 women were raped in Berlin out of approximately 2 million raped in the entire country during the final 6 months of the war. On the other hand, it should be noted that under the direction of Zhukov, efforts were made both during and after the battle to ensure that the civilian population of the city was provided for and that vital services were restored. German military deaths in the course of the whole operation totaled around 100,000, while the Soviets suffered approximately 80,000 killed and an additional 280,000 wounded. The end of the Battle of Berlin was shortly followed by Germany's unconditional surrender. On May the 6th at Rem, Alfred Jodl offered to surrender all forces fighting the Western Allies, but Eisenhower told him it must be all forces on all fronts, or the Western Allies would close their lines and all surrendering would be done to the Soviets. Admiral Karl Dönitz, leader of Germany after Hitler's death, authorized that, and just after midnight, Jodl signed it. The next day, German representatives went to Berlin and signed another surrender in front of Zhukov, whose army had won the race to Berlin. Ironically, however, Konev would have the last laugh. The glory of Zhukov's many victories turned out to be too much for Stalin's taste, and within a year, Zhukov had been banished from Moscow, first to command the Odessa district and then the Urals district, though he would be rehabilitated after the death of Stalin. Konev, meanwhile, enjoyed a long, successful, and uninterrupted career. The Western Allies, despite having occupied more of Germany than their Yalta allocations, chose to honor the agreement and withdraw to the agreed-upon boundaries. And in turn, Soviet Union would allow them to occupy their assigned portions of Berlin.
Berlin becomes a city of darkness as all ground communication is severed and energy comes to a standstill.
That was powerful. And it gets surrounded and all communication ceases around it. It's... It stands still. Oh.
Dominatus. Berlin is burning. Denique. Interimo. The night has fallen.
In the song, in the lyrics, you sing "Berlin is burning." Now,
I
have
love-
you
I
ever played
loved
this
it.
in Berlin?
Yes, of course we have. Sabaton has been performing everywhere in the world, and we didn't really take that much of offense when people said, "Oh, this song maybe it's too sensitive to perform in Berlin." But there was some promoters earlier who said, "Well, this is your show in Berlin, but don't play the song Attero Dominatus."
Promoters are always worried about stuff like that.
They're worried about politics sometimes, that we are there. I mean, you know, I told you about the story when we went to Russia and a local politician thought we're gonna burn the flag. It was similar idea the first time we came to Berlin. Like, you're gonna play the song Attero Dominatus and burn the German flag on the stage. And he was
Why
like,
do people think these things of you? What have you ever done that would imply that you're going to do that?
I could understand. I mean, in 2006, as this song was released,
Pretty early in the career.
Sabaton was not that, well known.
Right.
And we didn't have too many fans who would kind of defend us and tell Sabaton is not about politics, they tell stories. The whole thing about it was basically like this. We had our first tour in Europe, thanks to the album Primo Victoria. We are supporting the bands Ed Guy and Dragon Force. And at this time, the label says, we might be able to cover some of your costs on this tour if...
Did he have an AK in his hand the whole time?
I just thought the same thing. I'm pretty sure he did.
He did. I ain't been paying
the
attention
German
at
flag
all.
on the stage.
Yes,
and he was like,
People think these things of you. What have you ever done that would imply that you're going to do that?
I could understand. I mean, in 2006, as this song was released,
Pretty early in the career.
Sabaton was not that, well known.
Right.
And we didn't have too many fans who would kind of defend us and tell Sabaton is not about politics, they tell stories. The whole thing about it was basically like this. We had our first tour in Europe, thanks to the album Primo Victoria. We are supporting the bands Ed Guy and Dragon Force. And at this time, the label says, we might be able to cover some of your costs on this tour if you make another album before you go out.
Okay.
And we really had to rush the album Attero Dominatus.
And what about the video for Attero Dominatus?
The video, it was our first official music video.
Yeah.
We did it with Uber, who was a director from the band
If
Nocturnal
only it was
Rights.
better
We didn't
quality,
know what to expect
I
at
would
all.
have used this one.
And he was like, you need to bring some cooler clothes than what you are wearing normally, because before this, we were wearing leather pants and leather
Oh my
jackets,
God.
and that's our stage clothes.
Standard uniform.
Yeah.
I'm not even
Joachim
gonna...
bought his vest on a show in England, and just walking around, he saw that this could fit. It looks like a kind of military thing.
Yeah.
And then we thought about, okay, we get
Looks
kind
like a
of
military
uniform.
thing.
It was for the video shoot. And a couple of months later, we were sitting down at Sweden Rock Festival, and we were watching it together with some friends. And we were all like, damn, wow. It's a simple video, but we love the energy in it. And we love the look. So we kept the look.
And these are my favorite part of these. I love these. I always like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is all for today, but we will see you next time and every time on Sabaton History.
I really enjoyed this song when I listened to it. So the background kind of fit all around.
That's it for today. If you're wondering why I was holding a Kalashnikov, it was that it was first time used as a prototype during the Battle of Berlin that we just talked about. So, please don't forget to subscribe, become a Patreon, and see you soon.
Yeah, just make sure you mention what I didn't notice. Well, that would be Attero Dominatus. That would be the second video of the day. That's typically what we do. And with today, we had a live reaction for you. If you're wondering why this is up above me and we got 2 v3tReacts up here, we did hit our 5K sub goal, so that will be put here by Vocal Crow himself. And that Sabaton S right there, like Raven, if you could point to that for me. If y'all want to stick around for just a second, there you go. That Sabaton S will also be added to start Sabaton underneath v3tReacts with the live tattoo that I'm getting by Vocal Crow, and Threeper will be the cameraman while I get a needle that stabs me 1,000 times to get this all the way across my arm with the Sabaton S. And once we hit 10K, I'll finish that tattoo with the Abaton and something else, because it has to be bigger. And like I said, scan that Discord code if you're watching me on the computer, watching Threeper and me on the computer. Use your phone, just put your camera up to it. You don't have to take a picture, you just go bloop. It'll take you right into Discord. Right after I end the stream, there will be a description down below. There's a link. You need to go and sub the Raven. You need to hit that Discord link. You need to hit the subscribe button. You need to hit the bell notification, hit the like notification. If you enjoyed it all, do everything I just said. I'm here every Saturday with my boy Threeper. Consistency is going to get back on track. This is v3tReacts and Threeper Raven. And let's see if Threeper Raven remembers how to do this. And until next time, we want y'all to stay safe, be blessed.